Strap on your helmets and get your blaster ready because we are checking out the third and final entry into the Blaster Master Zero series, Blaster Master Zero 3. If for some reason you missed it, the Blaster Master series has been blasting again for the last 5 years in the form of Blaster Master Zero. As a brand new Switch owner at the time of the release of the first Blaster Master Zero, it was the perfect game that complemented the system as a purveyor of more independent titles and brought out the retro gameplay of the original Blaster Master. Blaster Master Zero delivered on all marks and made me an instant fan of the first game and its sequel, Blaster Master Zero 2. I finished both games in their entirety, and eventually picked up both games' limited run editions. Inti Creates is back with the final sequel in the Blaster Master Zero saga, Blaster Master Zero 3. Suppose you haven't played the previous games in the saga. In that case, the introduction to Zero 3 will give you enough of the backstory to understand exactly who the protagonists are, Jason and Eve. Still, I highly recommend you check out the first two games, otherwise you'll lose out on understanding who some of the returning characters are and just how much weight certain revelations of the story in Part 3 have to the overall story. To give you a basic summary of the plot, Jason and Eve have been traveling the galaxy for some time and have fought many mutants that are bent on destroying the universe. Ultimately, Jason and Eve decide to travel to planet Sophia, where Eve was born, but they are shot down and captured instead of being welcomed with open arms. It's not long after Jason's imprisonment that something happens within the Sophia Force base and he makes his escape, but before he goes, he has to find his pet frog Fred and Eve. Those who've played a Blaster Master game before should know what to expect, but for new players, Blaster Master 3 is presented in two ways. A 2D side view, where players will explore areas by riding a tank and blowing up mutants, and along with those areas comes a host of secrets, power-ups, and bosses that you need to find in order to continue progressing to other sites. You can also hop out of your tank to explore the planet and will need to do so in order to enter the different playstyle of Zero 3, the overhead view. In the overhead view, you directly control Jason, the hero, as he blasts away at mutants at a more reach out and shoot someone manner. Just like the 2D side view mode, Jason will find significant upgrades and fight many bosses. Unlike the original NES Blaster Master, Jason does have an expanded skill set of weapons and even special counter moves that, if done correctly, can do massive damage to enemies. One of my favorite things about this game is just how seamless the game travels between the 2D side view mode and overhead mode. This is especially apparent during some boss battles in Zero 3, as some of the battles may start in overhead mode and spill out to a final fight in the 2D way mode. As a big fan of the series, I didn't know what new mechanics Inti Creates could bring to the series, but they were able to add some unique items for the finale. The most significant addition in Zero 3 has to be the dimensional ruptures in various areas that will lead you to super-dimensional space. In a nutshell, these wormholes will appear in both the 2D and overhead regions, and by entering them, you can enter a reversed instance of the normal site you were in before. Think of it as the inverted castle from Castlevania Symphony of the Night, only entrances to it are all over the place. The new feature in the series is fun, but it can be frustrating trying to figure out what wormhole gets you to where in later stages. I spent a substantial amount of hours in one stage because I couldn't progress to the correct wormhole. There were also an instance where I missed an essential item to advance to the near final part of the game because I opted to use a wormhole to beat some of the 2D dungeons instead of the usual method. The wormholes are not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination, but just keep in mind that they can get frustrating if you don't use the game's built-in map features. Graphically, Blaster Master 03 is still one of the best-looking modern pixel games, and Inti Creates has worked hard to create a colorful, vibrant world. Controlling the tank and Jason with a Bluetooth SNES controller, I found 03 controlled the best out of the entire series with very responsive controls. Boss-wise, the game seemed to be missing the oomph factor from the last two games and does recycle some of the boss battles from the previous games, and even some from 03 to a high degree. After 3 games in the Blaster Master Zero saga, I am pleased to say that 03 wrapped up the story beautifully for Jason and Eve. It left a smile on my face, and should leave a smile on your face, if you know how to get to the true ending. If you are a fan of any Blaster Master game, especially the Zero series, you have to pick this up and play it. Fans of 2D action platformers or Metroidvanias also should partake in this beautiful series all the way to the end. While I did have some gripes about the wormholes and the reused boss battles, I thought 03 was an excellent finish to the series and did not regret playing it. I'm Mike Mertis from Old School Gamer Magazine. Thanks for watching.